There's a place on Earth where standing for just 1 hour means certain death. And it's not where you think. Most people hear the word radiation and immediately think of Chernobyl. It's understandable. The 1986 meltdown released radioactive material across Europe, forced the evacuation of over 100,000 people, and left behind the haunting ruins of Pripyat. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Chernobyl, for all its horror, is not the most radioactive place on the planet. Not anymore. In fact, Chernobyl today is a strange paradox. It's deadly in specific locations, yes, but large portions of the exclusion zone are now accessible to tourists. Wildlife roams freely. Trees grow tall through cracked concrete. Radiation lingers, but in a patchy, uneven way. Some hotspots remain lethal, but most areas expose you to less radiation than a transatlantic flight. Time and the partial containment efforts have softened its edges. But what if I told you there are places so radioactive that you could die in minutes? Places where gamma radiation is so intense, it fries your DNA before you even feel it. Places kept far away from camera lenses and guided tours. Some of them are underwater, some are buried, and some are hidden by governments that would rather you never knew. Let's begin in the waters off the coast of Japan, near Fukushima. In 2011, a powerful tsunami struck the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Multiple reactor cores melted down. Radioactive water spilled into the Pacific Ocean. News coverage was relentless. And yet, after the initial headlines faded, something strange happened. The disaster quietly slipped into the background. But the radiation didn't. At the bottom of the ocean, near the crippled plant, something horrifying is unfolding. Sediment samples taken years after the accident show that radiation levels are still alarmingly high. Strontium-90, cesium-137, and iodine-131 are being detected in fish, seaweed, and even the sand itself. The Japanese government and TEPCO, the plant's operator, have attempted to contain the damage. But containment, in this case, doesn't mean elimination. It means controlled leakage. And the numbers are staggering. Some seafloor readings show radiation levels over 100,000 becquerels per kilogram, far beyond what any international guidelines consider safe. Certain deep water trenches, hard to reach and rarely tested, may be even worse. Scientists have found radioactive particles embedded in plankton, the base of the entire oceanic food web. And once it enters the food chain, it travels upward into fish, into birds, and ultimately into us. But even this aquatic nightmare doesn't earn the title of most radioactive place on Earth. For that, we have to go further back, into the heart of the Soviet Union, into a place so secret, so forbidden, that it didn't appear on maps for decades. A place called Mayak. Located in the southern Ural Mountains of Russia, Mayak was one of the USSR's earliest and most active nuclear weapons production facilities. Built during the Cold War, it produced weapons-grade plutonium in massive quantities. And with that production came waste, radioactive waste on a scale that defies belief. Unlike Chernobyl, which suffered a single catastrophic event, Mayak was a slow-motion apocalypse. Radioactive waste was dumped directly into the nearby Tesha River, a lifeline for dozens of rural villages. Children swam in it, families drank from it. Cows grazed near its banks. They had no idea what was happening. But then, people started getting sick. Villages downstream from Mayak reported soaring cancer rates, birth defects, and unexplained deaths. Entire families died off in a matter of years. The river was poisoned, and so were the people who lived by it. And then came the 1957 Kyshtym disaster, a name you've probably never heard. That year, a buried tank containing liquid radioactive waste exploded. It released a massive plume of radiation into the air, contaminating an area larger than the size of Luxembourg. Entire towns were quietly evacuated. The Soviet government covered it up. The West didn't learn about it until decades later. Even now, parts of the East Ural radioactive trace, the fallout zone of the Kyshtym disaster, remain uninhabitable. But here's the part that's hard to comprehend. Mayak is still operating. It still processes nuclear waste. And much of the site remains off-limits, both physically and politically. Radiation levels in certain zones of Mayak are so intense that they exceed those at Chernobyl's reactor core. Unofficial measurements have found hot zones with radiation levels as high as 1,000 roentgens per hour. To put that in perspective, at that rate, you would be unconscious in minutes and dead within an hour. Your organs would begin to fail before you had a chance to escape. Yet very little is said about Mayak. There are no Netflix documentaries, no tourism, no selfies near cracked sarcophagi, just silence. Enforced silence. And it doesn't end there. Scattered across the globe are dozens of forgotten or hidden radioactive sites. In Siberia, there are so-called plutonium lakes, bodies of water so contaminated that their surfaces crackle with energy detectable from space. In the Marshall Islands, the crater of Runit Island holds nuclear waste sealed under a crumbling concrete dome. Rising sea levels threaten to crack it open, releasing its contents into the Pacific. In Hanford, Washington, once America's primary plutonium production site, minus 56 million gallons of high-level nuclear waste sit in underground tanks. Many of these tanks are leaking. The cleanup is projected to take decades and cost over $100 billion. But every year, the headlines fade and the danger quietly seeps into the groundwater. Radiation is invisible. It has no smell, no taste, no sound. It doesn't burn your skin until it's far too late. That's what makes it so sinister. You could walk through a forest, or fish in a river, or swim in what looks like a pristine lake, and never know you're being slowly destroyed. Chernobyl is a tragedy, but it's a visible one. It shocked the world. It changed policies. It inspired media. The true horror lies in the places we don't talk about, the ones still hidden behind military fences, or underwater, or buried beneath bureaucratic silence. So the next time someone says Chernobyl is the worst nuclear site on Earth, remember this. The most dangerous places are often the ones you're not allowed to see. And they may still be poisoning the world, in silence, in secrecy, and in plain sight.